Welcome back to Contemporary Black Voices, and now it's time for Hot Topics. And the hot topic is does individual success equate to community success? But before we do that, we want to do the mailbag. And we want to thank all of you who have taken the time to write comments, good or bad, at whatever position you take. We enjoy your comments, and we hope you'll continue to do that. So let me read a couple of comments we got when we dealt with the NACP. And this is from at Black Brazil Today. And this person writes, but what we have to understand is that the NACP was never really a black organization. When you look at the founders, you will see why it was never really about us. Marcus Garvey learned that as well. And then we had, on the other side, someone way cool nurse wrote, people need to join. I run a nonprofit and folks in our peer group criticize, but they don't join. They are not they should be we. So those are two of the comments. We got pretty good comments.
I hope the NAACP is listening.
Yeah, definitely. So now we'll get to the hot topic.
All right.
Okay. Okay, does individual success equate to community success? And I'll start it out by saying, I want to go back to something, see if I put this the right way. Dr. King, and it's appropriate time because we're coming up on the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington. And that's going to be in our Black Texas newspaper coming up this week. At the end of his speech, he said, I have a dream. And that was a dream that everything was going to be just perfect in this country eventually. A week later, Malcolm X said, I don't have a dream, I have a nightmare. So I'm going to look at it from that perspective. The individuals, and this is individual against community. The individuals, you can have Tim Scott running for president on a Republican ticket. He can say, there's no racism. We are now at the point of the dream. He can say that, okay? Now, that's for his own individual gain.
Okay.
Because he wants to become president. What's his name? The basketball player
Michael Jordan
can say, I don't want to come out for this black guy against Jesse Helms because Republicans buy tennis shoes. That's the individual against the community. And you can go over and over and over against these folks that take the I have a dream and don't look at the nightmare. And so I don't believe individual, and I don't think we might get something over here. But I don't think individual success, black individual success, has equated to the success and growth of the black community. I'm going to go one more step further. I know a lot of people out there are going to get upset about this.
mailbag.
Obama's was an individual success. It didn't equate to the community. He was president for 8 years. We loved him. Every black person voted for him because he's going to do all these great things for blacks. And Cornel West was the first one to point out he didn't. That's what Cornel West turned against him. On the other hand, if he had been elected, Jesse would have been a president that would have helped in many ways the black community because he was running on that kind of thing. Obama was never running on that kind of thing. So
Let me weigh in by saying, yeah, I think you're partially right.
not partially, just partially.
Yeah, just partially. you know,
I get a C. I don't get an A. Probably a C.
Hey, yeah. I was gonna say a D.
A D.
Yeah. Because look, the question really should be is how do we bridge the gap between those who become successful and how they help the community? We have no mechanism, as Caleb had talked about earlier, about being able to keep those people in check. You talked about it as well, but you talked about it from a political standpoint. I say each black person loves to say that Oprah is doing this and she's got all this money. They love to talk about these rappers, Jay-Z and Beyonce, and what they're doing, and they've got all this money. We love to talk about Barack Obama being the first black president, because before that we had to call what was his name, Jefferson Clinton, the black president. Okay, and that's what they were talking about. So my point is this: is that yes, we do look at that as a success for the community, but it's a false success because we never forced them to do anything.
Wait a minute. Now, if it's a false success, it's not successful. It's false. It doesn't exist.
Well, let me put it this way: if they were Jewish,
Is it just a
if
perception?
they were Jewish, or if they were white, and they were doing the same thing, they would be a success. But in our community, because they're not propelling us forward, that's why we say it's not a success. But I do say that every black, there's not necessarily either one of you can say you're not proud of another black person. At least I hope. I don't want to even hear you say it, even if you disagree, that a black person who is successful that you don't want to agree with.
Wait, I got First Amendment rights.
Not on this show, you don't.
I got First Amendment rights. Tell me what I can't say.
So, okay, look, let me hop in. So, one, Obama. Let's talk about Obama. So, Obama's obligation was to make sure that being the first, that he was not the last, and so there were constraints on him to make sure that the door remained open for other African Americans that came after him, and that's a heavy responsibility. And so I don't know what or in general what the expectations were. To me, Obama gave me what I wanted. He showed my kids that it's possible. And so and he did a job well enough to leave the door open so that others could come after him. So that's what I wasn't expecting free Popeyes every Friday. I wasn't expecting none of that from Obama. So he gave me what I was looking. Yeah, some people were. I don't know why. He was the president of the United States, and with that came immense global responsibilities. The man came in and saved the economy. So if you're black, you have a job, just say thank you. If you're white, you have a job, just say thank you. The man saved the airlines, he saved General Motors, he saved the automotive industry, healthcare industry, banking industry. So black, white, Latino, whatever, just say thank you. He did a fantastic job. So he gave me everything that I needed from him.
And I think he's the only president that won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Trump said he didn't deserve it.
Yeah, Trump.
Trump says a lot of stuff that
he
ain't
does a lot of
believable.
So, but you have individual stories, and so I consider Obama apart from when you have individual economic success stories. You have individual stories. I remember back in 1980s when Vanessa Williams won Miss America, right?
Right.
And so black people celebrated that. It was an individual accomplishment,
Right.
but it moved the standards of beauty forward.
Right.
So whereas it may have been some accomplishments are the accomplishments of an individual, but they do affect the race as a whole.
It moved the standards of beauty forward.
It did. Because, I mean, it changed the standards of beauty in this country. Because now
you identify with a black woman.
The perception.
That woman looked half white. Give me a break.
You know what? Can somebody help me?
Hey, a dark-skinned woman with the afro.
Okay, what about all right. Kenya Moore. Much darker. Miss USA. Right?
I don't know. I don't follow it.
Kenya Moore. She changed the perception of beauty in this country. Okay, so I mean, she moved it forward. It was the idea of a brown-skinned black woman, the idea of beauty. So even though that was an individual accomplishment, it was an accomplishment that was celebrated because it shifted the dynamic. Even you can even take some of the you could take Iman, or some of the people or Naomi Campbell. who changed the perception. So those are individual accomplishments, but again, they change the perception of beauty.
And
they
what
make
was that girl's
little
name that
black
was
girls can look at
Victoria's
themselves
Secret?
on a magazine and say, I am beautiful too.
Yeah.
So, but when we're talking about individual accomplishments, individual economic accomplishments, it goes to what they're doing with their individual economic accomplishments. And so your second question was what can they do, right, to help the race as a whole once they've obtained this? And so there are plenty of folks that reach a level of economic success, and what they do is they turn around and provide seed money. You know what I mean? So you can some of these individuals with this tremendous amount of wealth can provide seed money for their community. No one said the next Bill Gates could come out of Harlem. The next Bill Gates could come out of DC.
You're absolutely right.
You know what I mean? And so why not reach back and provide this
Dreaming.
They
Dreaming.
could. They could. No, they could though. Are you telling me they couldn't?
They don't.
They don't. But we're
They
saying
don't.
what could they do, right?
Right.
I thought we were talking about does their individual achievements translate to.
But then he
community.
reframed the question as
He did.
what could they? No,
You reframe the question.
his
Not
second
good.
question you said, well, what could they do?
Yeah, I said, what could they do?
What could they do?
Yeah, because we want some solutions. We don't want to just talk about people and what they, our people.
They could understand that they're black. They could understand that black people are suffering. They could understand to start with. Tim Scott could understand that what he's doing is not helping his race. It's helping white folks.
Right.
I never look at a politician, and especially somebody like Tim Scott, as somebody who can propel us forward other than what we direct them to do.
Clarence Thomas could understand he's black and vote the right way on issues that help black people. He could. That's the dream.
He could.
That's the dream. But he doesn't.
Right.
But he doesn't.
Right.
Denzel Washington could understand playing that black bad cop.
Now you talk,
Did not help.
Denzel, you talking about
Halle
this?
Berry laying down with that white man in that movie. She
Monsters
could have
Ball, right?
understood she's black. Did not help the perception of black women. That's what he could do. That's what they could do, but they don't do it. But they don't do it.
Okay, so when I put Vanessa Williams up as an example, you told me she looked white. Halle Berry looks white. So what difference does it make that she laid with a white man in Monsters Ball?
I don't know. She claims she's black as a black woman, right?
She is black.
Okay, well, I'm
She's
saying,
from
what's
Cleveland.
the difference between that one and the other one then? You know what I'm saying? You both of them look white, so what's the difference? So, but no,
Oh, the difference is they what? Did you notice when Barack Obama was running for president, he kept his hair real straight, real short. He never had a lot of hair on his head.
Afro.
Because if he had, they'll know he's black.
You ain't got a lot of hair on your head.
they knew he was black. But you know,
No, he wasn't dark like William. Okay.
so that made him more acceptable.
That made him more acceptable.
But I heard white people saying, how is he black? He came out of a white woman.
Absolutely.
I heard plenty of
In
white people.
fact, when we had a discussion at SAC, I brought up that point to the students. He could be white
In every other country, he would be.
because the rule was you take during slavery, you take
One drop.
on the race of your mother, and that's
Right.
because they can keep when
That-
women and
Right.
babies,
They
the
passed
babies
that
were
law.
slaves. So if that was still in effect, then Obama was a white man.
Yeah, because they actually passed a law stating that. Because they looked
Right,
around,
yeah.
they looked around, they counted the numbers and said, "Oh no." You know what I mean?
But I know you know what I'm talking about when I say, Vanessa Williams. You know what they were doing. You know what they were doing.
But
Come on,
she-
man.
what
But
I'm
let me,
saying, she was still a black
I don't
woman.
think there's any person, though, Fred, that you don't really say that you're proud that they are black. Okay? That's a first step.
Right here.
Yeah.
I'm proud that this man was black.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Robeson,
Okay.
W.E.B. Du Bois.
What about Michael Jordan as a basketball player? Forget
I don't
about
care
what.
about his basketball, so he could jump high and shoot a basketball.
Okay, well, you like football. What about
I
football?
don't care about football because you can run fast. What does
Okay.
that mean? Keep going. Keep going. What does that mean to black people? Keep going.
Because,
Because he
hey,
can shoot a basketball and jump high.
So
now they,
You already made a hero of this boy who's 7'5". He just happened to grow to be 7'5". Also, he's a hero.
Nobody said he's a
and so,
hero.
Refocusing.
Yeah.
We were talking about
And individuals.
an individual success.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so some solutions,
Okay.
please.
All right, I'll throw out one that comes to this man. Paul Robeson said that everything that he did was based on him understanding his heritage.
Mm-hmm.
Everything he did. He never, and that's why he was so ostracized in this country, because he was making at one time $100,000. But when he took on the problem of most blacks in this country, he lost all his engagements. They blackballed him. They took his passport from him. They did everything, but he didn't care because he built from his heritage, and his heritage was that his father was a slave. Was a slave, and his father taught him to build from that, and he did. Now I don't know if maybe it's because he was closer to that time because he was born in 1898. Maybe we moved so far in history that now we're forgetting that. We're forgetting. Now, I just want to read here something that he said. I
Okay.
live by.
Please.
He said, in the early days of my career as an actor, I shared what was then the prevailing attitude of Negro performers, that the content and form of a play or film scenario was of little or no importance to us. What mattered was the opportunity which came so seldom to our folks of having a part or a part, an even part to play on a stage or in the movies. And for a Negro actor to be offered these roles was fortunate indeed. Later, I came to understand that the Negro artist should not view the matter simply in terms of his individual interests, and that he had a responsibility to his people who rightfully resented the traditional stereotypical portrayal of Negroes on stage and screen. This man gave up everything.
And I think that's a. I think that's
Because
a.
he was concerned. What I do here is affecting my people out there. Denzel Washington listened to this man. Halle Berry listened to this man. All you actors and everything that don't think you have a responsibility to the stereotypes that you create for white people in these movies. And he wouldn't do it. And that man went from being the most popular to one of the richest black men in this country to almost being a pauper.
And I think that's a great model for us to follow when we talk about what should we do or what can we do. I believe what you just read is very significant in how we get from where we are now to where we want to go. Because a lot of people have forgotten that.
Yeah. And we don't see Paul Robeson schools.
Right.
We don't see Paul Robeson schools. We don't see W.E.B. Du Bois schools.
And I will also say to you that as a son of a Jamaican, okay, I too share the same thing. My father wasn't a slave like Paul Robeson, but my father was Jamaican. Whenever I go to Jamaica, I'm able to look at how they live and see what my father came from and what I have now. And how I bellyache about not being able to have this or can't do that, and then go look at Jamaica and what they don't have and how they're able to succeed and to be able to at least fight the conditions that they're in. I think that's important.
Yeah. So,
My thing is, wrapping this up, we should have had our own shoe company a long time ago with our own athletes sponsoring them. We should have had our own clothing company. You buy enough clothes, we should have had all of that. And we know how to import cotton. We know how to import cloth. Matter of fact, there's no trade barriers on importing cloth from Africa. That should have been done. We know how to build cars. There's so many new EV car companies popping up these days. Why are you billionaires not putting your money together and you rather give your money to Cadillac and build an Escalade? You know how to build cars. Black economics is the key. And so even providing seed money, setting up these little companies, like I say, I forgot what they're called, but little companies that provide seed money for the next invention, the next generation of entrepreneurs. The next Bill Gates and Michael Dell can come from us with a little bit of seed money, a little bit of financial backing. And so we should have been much further. But again, it goes to cooperative economics. So if you want to know what we can do, we can pull together. Again, it's about unity, cooperative economics. And so,
Final comment, Caleb.
there we go.
Final comment.
That was it.
that it? That's
That was it.
Okay, Fred.
No, I just want to reiterate what Paul Robeson said. Everything, if we take everything from our heritage, what our ancestors did for us, and make that a model for our life, then probably it would go over. What you want to see happen is all these millionaires would understand it's bigger than them. It's bigger than, it's about the race, and make the same kind of sacrifices that Paul Robeson was willing to make and that Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois was willing to make for the good of the whole race, for the community and not the individual.
I want to thank both of you for being here today and for the conversation that we had. I think on all segments, it's been very, very good and enlightening with what we've been able to discuss. My last comment would be is that one thing that Caleb was talking about, as well as you, Fred, I do like what Robeson said, and I think that we do need to make the gap, bridge the gap between where we are now and what he was talking about years ago. The second thing I would like to talk about is Caleb talking about we need to use seed money. We need to have these different cities where we set up and be able to have incubators for businesses. A woman who maybe has pocketbooks or I call it, my wife would kill me for saying pocketbooks, purses, okay, that have purses or whatever their business may be. We've got all of these cities that have basketball teams like the city we're in, or some of them have football and baseball teams. Why can't we not only ask our churches, we've got to demand more from them and demand more from the people who are within our community to be more of the community. I want to thank you so much for participating with Contemporary Black Voices. Please visit us online at Black Video News and Black Video Network. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.